Saroja Yaramili has been the center of attention in the startup world for several reasons. She raised one of the biggest early stage rounds, $5 million from Lightbox Ventures, before even kicking off full-scale operations. She is a 46-year-old entrepreneur who has years of experience in the industry, having formerly also worked with Tanishq. Saroja is already disrupting the online jewelry market with her innovative business model and fashion-forward approach. She says being a woman gives her yet another edge in the jewelry industry. Saroja, great to have you on E-Ink and here in Bombay visiting us.
Thank you for inviting me, Abha. I'm delighted to be here.
So how are things going? It's been about 6 months from launch, isn't it? It's a very exciting time, I'm sure, for any startup, and particularly yours. Take us through, first of all, what really sets Melora apart? I mean, the fact that you were able to go out there and convince investors of its merits far before, you know, any major traction, and at those early stages, that's a huge achievement.
Right.
What do you think really swung it in your favor?
I think it was my background. The fact that, you know, I'm not just out of college saying I want to build a differentiated, strong consumer online brand. The fact is that I have spent over 2.5 decades in the corporate sector in India and in the US, building strongly differentiated consumer brands. So there was the credibility of my experience, I think, which helped. And the fact that I have a you know, large vision and I have an innovative business model. You know, we are not a copycat model. What we're doing for the first time in the global jewelry industry. So it's a very large space, and I think the jewelry industry itself is extremely large, so the market opportunity is huge. And we were very clear about our vision and how large it would be right from the start. So I would say all of this must have convinced the investors, though of course I always say this question is best directed to our investors than me.
It's interesting that you say global, because a lot of startups today have that big vision. They're not looking at a select market, for instance. But when you say that it's so unique or it's so niche, what is it about Melora that, as a concept, that sets it apart from anything that's been tried before?
To talk about Melora, I think I'll have to delve a little bit about the jewelry industry in India and globally. And I believe the jewelry industry, and I have been a part of it for many years, not immediately, but some years ago, both in India and in the US. And my observation from a ringside perspective was that the jewelry industry hadn't done anything innovative to touch the lives of young women anywhere. You know, today I think there is a whole generation of Indian women who I would like to call under-jeweled or not jeweled, because we don't believe that we have the options in the market that goes with our current lifestyle. Most of the, I think all of us as women can relate to this, that most of the jewelry we buy is really on our wedding day, and after that it all goes into the locker. And what a pity that is, because jewelry is a beautiful accessory and it can really enhance your look and, you know, bring out your personality, and it should be about self-expression. It should not necessarily be about investment. You know, it should not necessarily be just a gift item. It should be what a woman likes to wear to express herself, just like she does with handbags or shoes or clothes or makeup or anything else. So I felt very strongly that good options, if they're presented to the young Indian women today, which goes with, you know, let's accept it, most of us are in Western attires these days, and there is no good everyday jewelry brand that is catering to our global sensibility, our Western style of dressing. You know, women are extraordinarily fashion conscious these days. Just look at the fashion blogger community, it's exploding in India. And, you know, women are consuming fashion content like never before, whether it's on Instagram or whether it's a fashion magazines. You know, they have new role models, new inspiring models in fashion that they look up to. Yet, at the same time, they have the discerning sense of style to express themselves in their own individual way. So I was very inspired by young Indian women and how tech savvy they are, how fashion savvy they are, how confidently they like to express themselves. And I wanted to create a brand that speaks their language. Jewelry which is fashionable, which is wearable on an everyday basis, which is relevant, and most importantly, which is affordable.
Okay. And I think that comes through very clearly if one goes onto the app or
Yes.
the site and
Yes.
takes a closer look. But let's take a couple of those points one by one.
Sure.
When you're looking at that demographic, I mean, a large part of it is right here in
Yes.
India,
Yes.
right? Because
Yes.
when you're talking about accessibility or a market that's been untapped as such, you think of the Indian woman, the young
Correct.
Indian woman. When it comes to reaching out to them, and you're saying that they're very informed and so forth, are they, for instance, careful or curious about the quality? Because you're talking about real jewelry here,
Yes.
you're not talking about
Yes.
costume jewelry.
Yes.
They are going to be spending a decent sum. I think the average price, I mean, you'd know better, let's say
16,000.
16,000.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
even if, you know, they're taking out once a month that money to spend, it's a big amount for them.
Yes, yes.
What are some of the questions they ask in terms of the quality, the kind of diamonds that are used
Yes.
in these products? Are they curious about these things?
Yes, of course. I think one thing which is very admirable about Indians in general and Indian women in particular is the fact that they do see good quality, and we are very proud of the quality, the international standards that we have put in place right from the start. We offer all the standard industry body certifications for our diamonds. We take care and pains to manufacture in the best manufacturing units in India, which export to all the countries in the world. So we're very, very proud of our vendor tie-ups that we have brought on board, who are very, very excited to support us. And we have an impeccable team. You know, our head of manufacturing and sourcing is a 25 years experienced global expert on quality, who has worked in places like Tiffany and Cartier before. So the reason that I've assembled this fantastic team is to make sure that we put really great global quality products to Indian consumers right from the start.
Okay.
So I'm really, really particular about that.
Okay, and a global client, if they're looking at buying off Melora, would it be the pricing that would lure them? Would it be the design? What do you feel is in it for them as well?
So first and foremost, I think the concept of Melora is that we are a fast fashion schedule company,
Okay.
which is the first time that anybody is doing this in the global jewelry industry. You know, we launch weekly collections. It's
Okay.
unheard of in fine jewelry to have collections happening every week,
Yeah.
right? And why we do this is because we create designs which are inspired by global fashion trends. We have international trend spotters who go to all the Paris, Milan, New York fashion weeks, distill the trends that will work for India. We talk to the fashion editors. We find out which of the trends will be brought by the high street apparel brands, and then and only then we start putting pen to paper. And we design collections in the season which are very much in trend, and which you know, most women today buy at Zara, Marks and Spencer, or any of these high street brands. And when they go, they look for clothes there, and they come back home and they check us out. They will find that we have a collection that goes with the clothes that they've just bought or the clothes that are in their wardrobe. So we are a perfect accessory for Western attire that women wear today.
Okay.
So that's really the difference that we are bringing. The fact that we are globally inspired by global fashion trends, the fact that we have a fast fashion schedule which is really unprecedented in the fact that it's totally current with what's happening in the fashion scene for young women. So I think all these things is for the young demographic, because they really want things which are the latest, which are the global best, right here sitting in India.
All right, fantastic. On that note, let's take a very quick break. We're in conversation with Saroja of Melora. We'll be back in just a moment. Saroja, you have a very unique no inventory model.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how that works. Does it pose its own set of challenges, for instance, when you start to scale up?
Actually, we have a very disruptive business model, and no inventory is just one aspect or one dimension of it. For example, we also do all of our jewelry is 3D printed. You know, we are the first jewelry company that 100% of our orders that we are servicing our customers with are 3D printed. So I really believe in the disruption, the power of disruption of technology. And I believe in creating a consumer internet brand which really relies on technology disruption, not just at the front end, but also at the back end in terms of manufacturing. So we tie up with vendors who align with us in our vision to bring a truly disruptive business model. I have been in consumer brands for a long time. And I personally feel that quite often inventory is the enemy of innovation. You bring out new designs and you create a lot of inventory, and then there is a lot of pressure on the system to liquidate the inventory, and then you're getting into discounts, and you are not allowing newer designs to come out quickly because you are more concerned about liquidating your old inventory. That's not really in the benefit of the consumer. So what we do is that as soon as a customer places an order, we start our manufacturing process. But we have innovated on the manufacturing process to make sure that the delivery happens really quickly so that the customer experiences the best of us.
Okay, so also tell me about the kind of margins you enjoy. Is it a high volume business that you're trying to build here, for instance? What are the kind of numbers you're looking forward to down the line? What's the plan?
So I want to build a really, what you would call a destination brand or an iconic brand, a desirable, relevant brand. We are extremely consumer centric in our decision making. We do a lot of consumer research of young Indian urban women, and we put out what we think is just right for them in time. When you build a differentiated consumer brand, over time, you will become a very profitable, sustainable business. And that's really what excites me, to build a business which is profitable in of itself. And I think that's the next wave in e-commerce that we will see, where people build businesses which are very strong, which have very strong unit economics. So we have very good gross margins. At the same time, we have extremely competitive and affordable price points. Right. So for example, our range, almost 60% of our range is under 20,000 rupees. The reason we have kept our jewelry extremely affordable is because, as I said, I'd like jewelry to take its rightful place in the wardrobe of women today. We buy so many shoes, we buy so many handbags, we buy so many clothes. Why not a lot of jewelry? If it is well designed, if it goes with your self-expression, if it goes with your lifestyle today, and if it is well priced, there's no reason that women won't keep coming back to buy more jewelry.
True. Some of your competitors, the already existing ones in the jewelry space, they're also looking at getting into, for instance, physical stores. Is that something that you would think about in the long term? Do you think that's necessary? Would you prefer to be a pure tech e-commerce player?
I think, the online jewelry space in India is just about starting off. And there are very few players, and the market opportunity is huge. We have less than 0.1% share of the entire jewelry industry, which in of itself is a $54 billion industry in India. And it's one of the oldest industries. It's a 5,000-year-old industry in India. So I feel that there is a lot of scope for a lot of players to enter the online jewelry space, which is currently underserved. Online is our strategic choice. Yeah. Offline, if we ever get there, will be our tactical choice. Right. But yes, I do understand, I agree that worldwide a lot of e-commerce companies are looking at omni-channel strategies, and a lot of offline brands, interestingly, offline retail companies are acquiring now online companies to expand their portfolio. So it's a very interesting time, globally and in India, when both online offline is sort of kind of converging, and that's terrific. That's terrific for consumers to have the choices of shopping where they want, when they want. And I'm very clear, Abha, that I will be where my consumer is. Right. I will be very relentless in being extraordinarily consumer centric and serving our consumers wherever it might be, online or offline.
So let's talk about the consumer. In the first few months, and as you said, you do a lot of market research, and I noticed that your campaigns actually rolled out, I think, in line with your launch. You didn't kind of wait for things to spread word of mouth. You just kind of went all out.
Yes.
What was the feedback you got? Are there particular categories that are seeing a better response? Are there more and more women that are more comfortable with buying jewelry online?
I think the response has been far greater than what I would have imagined. I know that sounds like a cliche, but it is really, really true. And I think that is a testimony of how much we are differentiated in every aspect of this business. And the testimony of that is the fact that every single collection that we've launched so far, and remember we launch every week, has sold, you know, and that's fantastic. You know, somebody or the other has found some collection or the other extremely relevant for them. So that tells us that our consumer research has been pretty spot on, and we cater to a very diversified portfolio of tastes, if I can call it that. You know, some women like, we do very, very cool and edgy things. For example, what I'm wearing is denim inspired jewelry. And you know, sometimes I wonder why nobody ever came up with denim inspired jewelry, because denim is such a classic. All of us wear denim, and we would want something that would, you know, accessorize very well with it. So we do things like denim inspired jewelry, we do military inspired jewelry, all of the fashion trends, the global fashion trends. We do workwear, we do casual wear, we do party wear, and some things appeal to some women, some things appeal to somebody else, but every collection is selling. So that's really fantastic.
All right, well, on that note, let's take another very quick break. We'll be back right here on E-Ink in just a moment. Don't go away. I keep coming back to the, you know, the connection to fashion.
Sure.
I think that's one of the things that's really setting Malora apart from some of the players. A very clear focus on providing that styling to its consumers. So what are some of the, you know, possible synergies you see with the fashion world going forward? I mean, how much of a USP do you see this being?
Like I said, you know, I'm interested in everything that my consumer is interested in, and she is hugely interested in fashion. You know, we've done, like I said, we've done enough consumer research to tell us that women are consuming fashion and fashion trends like never before in India, and it's amazing, it's just fascinating. And the reason that we are so fashion obsessed in our company is because we want to create jewelry that really accessorizes her wardrobe perfectly. You know, you are a woman, Abha, you will know this. No woman I know gets up in the morning thinking that this is the jewelry I'm going to wear today, which means that jewelry should accept its rightful place in her mind and design things that go with her wardrobe, that help her put together her best look in the right way. And I think I know all this, not just because we do a lot of consumer research, but because I'm a woman. And it is a huge unfair competitive advantage that I have in this industry, that I'm a woman who understands women.
Right. So what's the team like at the moment? You know, how many people, you know, what's the strength you have, for instance, on the design front? Are there multiple consultants perhaps across the board that you keep on interacting with? How does it work?
Yes, so we are a 40-member team, and the very early investments I've made is in creating one of the best design studios in India. We have a global team. We have a very senior designer work with us from New York. We have a very senior designer that works out of UK, Birmingham, UK with us. And we have a very strong in-house design team in our office in Bangalore. And we've invested in all the right software. You know, we have invested in all the right talent to create the designs in the fastest possible way. Today, we have the capability of bringing out designs in as little time as 50 days from concept to launch, you know, which is unprecedented. So I never think twice about investing in great design teams, because I think that's the core difference that we are providing to our consumer, that we provide her great jewelry that works with who she is.
Right, right. So, you know, you seem to be very much on top of all of it, Saroja, but every startup has its share of learnings. You know, what have been some of the challenges for you? Because that's something that I'm sure a lot of others could learn from as well.
Yes. Abha, I do recognize that I have had a bit of an unusual start, you know.
Which is not a bad thing.
Yes, and I have actually not struggled much. And, you know, one hears of a lot of entrepreneurs going through the rigor and the rigmarole of fundraising and things like that. Pretty much one of the earliest investors I met, I didn't meet too many people, and I just went and raised money with just a business plan and with a very large vision. And I was fortunate to find investors who are great partners in this journey with me and who believed in my capability to bring this vision to life. So I have not had any struggles at all. It's been extraordinarily exciting creating something out of scratch.
And you have 2 young daughters as well.
Yes.
So you have sample audience at home.
Yes, and you know, these days there's no age barrier. Even young girls are very clear about what choices they want to have and what they want to do. And they in fact provide great advice to me, though they're quite young, but they have great advice for Melora, and I always benefit from their advice.
So given the fact that you actually kick-started with a pretty decent sum of funding, how did you take a decision in terms of where to use it,
yes,
how much of it to use? Did it increase the kind of pressure perhaps in terms of expectations from investors to deliver by a certain time? I know the Lightbox team very well, and,
yes,
and I know they're not the kind to,
yes,
to really
yes,
stress you out,
yes,
but nonetheless, you know, did it sort of set a time frame?
I never need anybody to stress me out. I can quite easily stress myself out, so that's never a problem. But jokes apart, I think, yes, we did raise the largest funding ever on a business plan in India, and that was very exciting. But, you know, I am very mindful of this quotation that I read somewhere, that complimenting an entrepreneur on raising funding is like complimenting a chef on buying the right ingredients. You know, that's all I've done. I've just bought the right ingredients. Now the time has come to cook the dish. So I'm very mindful of it. I am a very cost conscious entrepreneur. I don't believe in blowing up a lot of money. I've been very careful in how I spend and in what I spend, and I believe in extending my runway as much as possible. And we have made investments in 2 broad areas. Luckily for us, which we have a no inventory model. We don't have a capex heavy model. You know, we invest mostly in building the brand, which is on the marketing side. We have a very high variable cost model. Our fixed costs are not too high. So talent and marketing. This is the only 2 areas that I believe in investing in, and that's what I've done.
In terms of life for you, you've been in the corporate world, you've spent years there as well, and you have a lot of experience. And now as an entrepreneur, how are things different?
Things are very different. You know, the corporate world is totally different from the entrepreneurial world. But I would say that my corporate background has really set me up very well for this part of my life. You know, whether it is the ability to make decisions, whether it is the ability to be very analytical, whether it is people leadership, and that is so important in a startup, to have the maturity to pull along your team to your vision and carry them along. So a lot of these things wouldn't have been possible had I just come out of college and been an entrepreneur. I feel, at least for me, my corporate background and the ability to build a brand, the vision to build a brand, the experience of having done it myself, a lot of these things have really helped me to come to entrepreneurship prepared very well.
Anything that keeps you up at night?
Actually, I'm a sound sleeper. I never miss my 8 hours of sleep.
Nothing's phasing you.
Nothing ever keeps me awake in the night. But of course, I think there are a lot of concerns. You know, stress is part of the entrepreneurial journey, but it's no different in the corporate world. You know, if you have a responsibility gene that you've been born with, which I have been, so you take the stress anyway and move on. So yeah, there are a lot of things that concern me, but at the same time, it's so exciting. It's so exciting to look at these challenges and say, hey, let me try this and let me see if this will work and if this will stick. It's fantastic. It's, you know, it's true innovation, and I just thrive on challenges. So it's great.
Thank you so much for joining us, Saroja. Absolutely wonderful having you with us.
Thank you, Abhay. It was wonderful to be here.
A strong business model and a clear vision. Now, that's just what you need to get your startup up and running, according to Saroja, and we look forward to seeing what else is in store for Melora going forward. That's all from us on E Ink Today. Thanks for watching.